many good words.
Henry, how are you?
Coach.
Everybody ready? You got the recorders going?
How we doing, guys?
Coach, good.
I think you always, probably all across the country, head coaches would get up here and say how excited they are about it's finally here, and I can say that with all sincerity. Man, this is it's an exciting time. I mean, all of us are really looking forward to getting some answers. You know, and you get to the point where you know, there's a lot of questions, and you keep asking questions, and we have questions, and the bottom line, you don't get those answers until you put that ball down out here Saturday night and then each and every week. So that's where we are. It's the time where we need to go find out who we are, what we can do, and maybe what we can't do. But I can say this, I guess this is my 7th season here, the excitement level, the anticipation level, the energy level is absolutely as high as it's been. Not that it hasn't been high before, but just I think, you know, tweaking the offense a little bit. You know, we've got a good mix of continuity in coaches, but we also have some new coaches that came in. Kind of the same with the players. You know, we've got enough older guys that have played, but yet a sprinkling of newer guys. So it's an exciting time, and I mean that sincerely. That just isn't coach speak. A couple things, just house cleaning. You know, I guess we had 2 knee injuries. Trent Sellers from Atlanta, you know, started out at Georgia Tech. Really sad to see it. You know, he injured his knee about a week ago or 10 days ago. He would have been a starting defensive end for us. He's out for the season. Great summer, great fall camp. Really feel bad for him, especially. Put a lot into this, but he'll be back. Reese Wilkinson, a wide receiver walk-on from La Cueva, who's a good little football player. Was injured in camp. He's out for the season with a knee injury. We have 2 guys coming back. A.J. Greeley, who was injured our first scrimmage. He should be back here in the next week or so. L.O. Johnson, a running back, freshman from Wisconsin. He was injured probably a week or 10 days ago. He'll be back. Then our kicker, you know, Danny Sutton, who will be our kickoff man. He's suffering from an illness right now. He won't play Saturday. We're hopefully going to get him back for Wisconsin, but he is out for Saturday. We'll decide probably this afternoon, or maybe give it one more shot tomorrow morning at practice, who's going to do the kickoffs. It'll either be Dylan Romero from Los Lunas or Steven Ruiz, a freshman kicker from Chicago. So it was a good camp. Obviously, the injury to Trent Sellers was a setback, but it's time to go. We're anxious to go. You know, Incarnate Word coming in. You know, new head coach, as all you know the background there. Played at Texas Tech. You know, a Mike Leach, Cliff Kingsbury. Also was, I believe, at the University of Houston, maybe with Kevin Sumlin. Y'all know what Texas A&M did to us last year in College Station. It'll be the air raid style offense. They've got some new faces. You know, they have some receivers that were on the team last year but didn't play because of different issues. We're not sure exactly why. You know, they've got some new faces. And then on defense, they hired a defensive coordinator that was at Texas A&M Commerce. Texas A&M Commerce won the national championship last year at their level. Multiple 4-man front. You know, brings the nickel from the field a lot. Play some bear, some double eagle, multiple fronts. And in the kicking game, their kicking game coordinator coached at University of Tennessee Martin last year. He didn't have the title, special teams coordinator. So it's a bit of an unknown there exactly what they're going to do in special teams. So schematically, it'll be a big test. You know, we all know what Texas Tech's offense has been. And we also know we play similar teams to that as we go through the season. We're a bit more of that ourselves on offense. Not that, but a bit more of that. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a big test. But most of all, man, just excited. Just excited. You know, don't take this opportunity for granted. I feel very fortunate to be here, having the opportunity to do this. We've got a lot of players that are very fortunate and are appreciative to have this opportunity. And, you know, we have a chance to go get some momentum for ourselves and hopefully for the athletic department and hopefully for the university. You know, momentum's hard to get. It's hard to get. You know, we fought our tails off to get momentum. A year ago, we had great momentum as I stood here a year ago. Well, we lost that momentum, and we have to go get it back. We know it's not going to be easy, but we are legitimately excited to go do this. So we left a seat open for Rick Wright right there, you know, normally. Henry, I'm going to have to go with you. Just on, I don't want to say age, let me just say on experience, right? Just on experience.
Thank you, Coach.
And I know you're going to come with a very emotional question.
Got you.
Okay, all right.
You know, you've been at this a lot of years, and every year may be a little different. Challenges and goals for this year, if you don't mind sharing that. The oldest cliche question on earth, is your team, are you fired up?
Absolutely. You know, I'll tell you what, in some ways you get more excited as you go and more energized as you go, quite honestly. And I don't know if it's a combination of things that happened last season. As I mentioned, you know, having to fix some things schematically. We felt we needed to fix things. You know, we had some staff change. There's been a tremendous sense of urgency and honestly a tremendous sense of appreciation. You know, to be able to do this, all of us probably should take a deep breath sometime. We're all involved in athletics. We're all here, whether we're covering sports, whether we're coaching sports or playing sports. I mean, to be able to make a living doing this, we're all very fortunate. So I'm looking forward to this. You know, I feel like we're prepared. I feel like we're well coached. Let's go see what happens, man. Let's go see what happens and put the ball down. So I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative to be doing this.
Goals, challenges?
Rebound. Get the momentum back. I mean that. You know, we had, it was a pretty incredible story to get to where we were a year ago. You know, we'd won 7 of our last 8 games standing here a year ago. We won our first game. We'd won 8 of our last 9. We were 3-2. Beat 2 10-win teams in a row at Tulsa and Air Force at home. And then the air came out of the balloon. And we've got to change momentum, and that's not easy. We've got to change momentum. You know, I know other people are looking at us as it would be very unexpected if we jump up and got back to where we were 2 years ago. But that's what makes it fun, the opportunity to do something that maybe not a lot of people think you can do. And, you know, whether you call it a chip on the shoulder mentality, whether you call it tremendously motivated, whatever you call it, I've got it right now. And I think our team has it.
Coach, you kind of touched on it yesterday about first time I stayed in a hotel in 41 years. Like, what do you do to, like, make it somewhat normal to what you're used to? What do you do to?
You know, I don't think it matters with me. I don't think it matters with the coaches, quite honestly. We've all done things. You know, we prepare for all situations. I think there is a bit of a leadership conversation we've had with our team. You know, particularly in a city like Albuquerque, New Mexico, that's a pretty big city. There's a lot of things going on here. There's a lot of dynamics here. Friday night's a little bit of a concern with me, with 115 players staying where they stay every night. But it's about leadership. You know, we talked about curfew Friday night, FaceTiming, having different position leaders FaceTime their teammates to make sure they're in. We talked about coaches doing it. We talked about texting. The bottom line, I said, enough of that conversation. You know, if we don't have the kind of leadership on this team, and guys don't respond to the leadership on this team in a positive way, all that doesn't mean a lot. You know, so we're not going to do anything. We're going to have a curfew. We're going to ask our players to be in, get their rest. Of course, you can't control the environment around them, which is a concern to me, quite honestly. And also the logistics are a little bit different. You know, like we play at 6 o'clock on Saturday, excuse me. So we do have to feed them brunch. So they're going to have to drive up here at 10 o'clock. Then there's some logistics with the pregame meal. You know, normally you have the pregame meal 4 hours before the game. But if we do it 4 hours before the game, that's a long downtime with no place to go. I'm not going to let them drive back home. So we've had to tweak it. But you know what? When that ball's kicked off, it's not going to matter, right? As long as we handle it. So we've tried to use it to bring another level of leadership to our team. And certainly it is different. It is different for me. You know, even at ESPN, all the games I did. You know, we as our crew stayed in hotels the night before games. So it causes some problems, but that's kind of where we are right now, and that's what we're going to have to deal with, and it's not going to be any excuse, I can promise you that.
Coach, you obviously mentioned Incarnate Word as a new coaching staff. How do you handle film when you're playing an opponent that has a new coaching staff and making sure that you see, you know, the schemes that you're going to be seeing, but also the players? Yeah,
it's a great question. You know, it's a great question. I go back to, I think it was 1992 when I was at Texas A&M as the defensive coordinator, and Bill Walsh took the Stanford job. And our first game that year was against Stanford. Bill Walsh, his first game back in college football. We played him in the Anaheim Classic out in Anaheim, California. And I remember that game. First of all, I went and visited Bill Belichick to get ready for Bill Walsh. You know, Bill Walsh back in college football, but we had old Stanford tape from years and years ago. We had NFL tape. And it's similar to that. You know, we're preparing for Texas Tech. Our defense is preparing for Texas Tech. Our offense is preparing for Texas Commerce. Our special teams, there's a bit of a dilemma because, as I said, we've researched the special teams coordinator who came from UT Martin, but I think he only had the punt team there. And we're not really sure of that. So there's always a bit of an unknown in college football. Last year we had a similar situation with Abilene Christian. And that's what it is. And with all those, you always worry about yourself. You know, as important as it is to know the opponent, it's a lot more important to know yourself. And that's really how we're going about this. You know, it's about us. But that's a great question. You know, there's a lot of research that's been done. And we've sprinkled in watching Incarnate Word from last year, because there are some of those players that are back that played for them. But schematically, it's Texas Tech and Texas A&M Commerce.
Coach, now that the depth chart the last few days has started to take shape, how do you like how the team has handled the responsibilities they've been given, you know, team one,
yeah,
team one?
Brandon, I think that's a great question, you know, and I said before we practiced on Saturday, I don't want to break anybody's bubble on the team, but all that we've done to that point, everybody else has done, quite honestly. They all have great strength coaches. There's a lot of good players, a lot of good coaches out there. There's a lot of great plans. The dynamics of the season really start now. And that's why I talked about last Saturday. You know, how we handled going out there Saturday afternoon at 11, 12 o'clock, trying to simulate a game. How we handle reacting to depth chart and, oh no, I'm second. Or maybe, oh no, I'm first. How we handle the dynamics from this point forward. School started. We've got to get to class. We've got to handle, I'm not a starter, but I wanted to be a starter. We've got to handle a lot of other things. So it's really starting right now. And that's our whole message with our team. You know, what's the extra we're going to bring? What's the extra? What's our chemistry? What's our chemistry? Is anybody going to be able to break our will? Those things are the difference. And that started. And you can't duplicate that. You cannot duplicate everything in practice. You cannot duplicate all the leadership issues with your team. Some of it, most of it's off script. And that's why you hope the culture of our program, day in, day out of what we've done, that now the chemistry can build itself. But it's on now. It's on now. That's why we do this.
Coach, you kind of talked about the excitement being high and stuff like that. Is some of that around wanting to see how this new offense, how that's going to look and stuff like that? Because, I mean, there's something new. So
It is, man, without a question. You know, I watched those games Saturday night like probably you guys did, and particularly Colorado State and Hawaii. Because the New Mexico State-Wyoming game that was a non-typical game just the way that started. But Hawaii-Colorado State, the efficiency in which they threw the football and caught the football, both those teams. And I told our team about that. I said, you know, I've seen us do it in practice. I'm impressed just watching those two teams play Saturday night. Can we do that? Can we do that? You know, I'm hoping we can. I've seen enough potential that we can, but can we? You know, what's Elijah Lilly going to bring? What's Jay Griffin going to bring? You know, Delane Hart, we've been waiting to get a scheme where maybe he had a chance to get the ball more. Well, he's going to have a chance to get it. So all those things add to the excitement of this. It really does, you know, because there's going to be the ball out in space. And not just from like in the past, us coming out there and pitching the ball. And that's a big part of what I'm anxious to see.
Coach, in the past, you've talked about football and athletics being a vehicle for
You guys want me to answer that or not?
positivity and
Probably
change.
let that go there.
Aside from the excitement that you're obviously feeling getting to this game, are there any other emotions attached to this game and this season for Albuquerque and yourself?
You know, it's been a, you know, not to go back, but it has been a did that really just happen kind of a run here. It really has. I mean, I have been doing this a long time. And there's been a series of events that go back about a year, if we're honest, to like, wow, did that really just happen? And I've really prided myself and I've prided how our players have just been steady in the boat and waited for the opportunity to put a product out there on the field rather than doing a lot of talking. You know, I've probably been criticized at times for not doing a lot of talking. I don't think this past little deal we've been through here, I don't mean little deal, has called for talking. It's been about action and coaching your team. And now it's time to put that team out there. But absolutely, we all feel an urgency to regain momentum. And the great thing about sports, man, it does have the potential to bring people together. It moves the needle. It moves the needle. And there's nothing greater, in my opinion, in college football. We got close. We got close to getting it over the hump. But we didn't get it over the hump. And we fell backwards. And now we got to get that back. All that work we put into this, I'm not going to let just go away. I mean, there's been too much investment here by too many people to just let it go out the window. And you guys have heard me say, you know, one thing about the cynic, you know, the cynic is always the hardest working. The cynic is always the most diligent at what they do. Always the loudest, always the most persuasive. But there's a lot more optimists out there. There's a lot more optimists out there that love football, know what football can bring, know the good that we have brought here, and it's time to just get that momentum back. But, you know, it's still not the time to talk. We got to go out there and do it. We've got to go out there and do it. So, you know, absolutely. I mean, it'd be easy for me to stand up in here and say, well, it's just a football, it's just season, just this. There's a lot of things at play here. There's a lot of things at play here, and I take it very seriously, and our team does as well.
Brett? Kicking. You know, all these, the last 2 or 3 years anyway, we've won or lost games by 2, 3, 4 points. And so it's real important for the kicking. What can you tell me or tell us about Shelley and how comfortable, from what distance do you feel comfortable with him?
I like Shelley. I mean, Shelley has really matured, really matured. He's consistent. He gets the ball up quickly. He's been on a bit of a roll here in practice, so he has some momentum. But again, some of these answers are going to come against other teams. I'm excited to watch him. That's another thing I'm excited to watch, quite honestly. I don't know. Our holder, we've got an Australian holder. You know, and I'm teaching him clock management, like watching that 25-second clock tick down, or late in the game when it's whistle field goal where the ball's going to snap on the referee's whistle and he's got to get the ball communicated. You know, 3 years ago he was in Australia. And then he's our punter. And now our kicker, who did kick at, our kickoff man who did kick at Maryland, he's now sick. He's not going to kick this week, so it's Dylan Romero, a walk-on from Los Lunas, or it's Stephen Ruiz, a true freshman. But again, that kind of makes it exciting too. You know, it really does. I'm anxious to see some of these young guys go do it, and let's find out what we have. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I know we're not going to be afraid to go for it on fourth down, and we have been that in the past, and we'll continue to be that. But I'm anxious to watch Shelley. Man, he's pretty good now. He's pretty good.
Arch, I know it's not entirely in your control, but in terms of the philosophy of scheduling season openers, what is your philosophy? What would you like to see?
I like to schedule just like we've scheduled. I think, you know, getting off to a good start in college football is very important. And if you looked at our schedules over the last several years, Incarnate Word, Abilene Christian, Mississippi Valley State, I think that's what most people do. And if most people could control the schedule, that's what they would do.
So Incarnate Word, it's been reported that they have 30 transfers. Is that like a large number, you think? And does that jump out at you?
Absolutely. You know, it's a whole new era at Incarnate Word. That's why they're dangerous. They're dangerous. You know, they have made a commitment to football just by going and hiring the coach they hired. To be able to hire the offensive coordinator from Texas Tech, they've made a commitment. To go get that defensive coordinator from Texas A&M Commerce, that may not sound like a huge deal to people that don't really follow football, but to be able to go hire those guys shows that they've made a commitment there. So, yeah, that's a lot of new faces. Even some of the faces I mentioned that will be playing for them that were on the roster last year didn't play last year. You know, they've got a return man wide receiver that didn't play a snap last year that 2 years ago had an outstanding season. So, you know, it's the first game of the year. There's always unknowns. I've said this before, you know, you always worry about the air coming out of the balloon in the first game. You know, with high expectations. You know, last year was 14-7 at halftime against Abilene Christian. I think we did a good job of not getting it so hyped and so amped that one, you know, needle in the balloon takes all the air out of it and you panic. You know, it's the first game. We have a lot of new faces, particularly guys touching the football in some areas. Don't panic if things don't go well. You know, don't make a bad situation worse. First games are first games. But that's a lot of new faces. That's a lot of new faces.
Coach, with your group of running backs, was there any running back in this camp that stood out amongst the other guys? Because it's been a big part of your offense running the football. Yeah, I mean, I think a couple guys. You know, Tyrone, we know. You know, Tyrone is rock solid, physical, day-day vigilant. You know, day-day vigilant. A guy that was highly recruited out of Los Angeles. I remember like it was yesterday, his freshman year, went down out here with a non-contact knee injury about the third day we were in practice. Came back last year, had a little injury early in the year. He's been exciting to watch. I'm anxious to watch Day-Day. You know, he's a quick, explosive guy. Certainly Amari Davis, the junior college player from Laney in Oakland, was here in the spring. With his hands on the ball, he's really talented, really talented. Schuler, the big running back who played kind of the tight end for us last year. Another guy that's not playing this week, and I forgot to mention, is Javon Jones. Javon Jones, a young man from here in town, had really done some good things. He's going to be back. He's got a sprained foot, but he did some good things. So, you know, Tyrone, we kind of brought back into the fold slowly. A lot of the other guys had opportunities to get their hands on the ball, and I think they took advantage of it. It's another thing to watch Saturday night that I think is exciting.
Coach, in wake of the recent budget cuts and stuff like that, do you feel like with all the eyes on football now, because people say, oh, well, why don't you cut football and do this, like you guys need to deliver, Or do you feel like it's just a regular?
No, I don't feel that at all. I'll be honest, we've done more with less in this program than anybody. We've done more with less. I've just never chosen to go public with it because I don't want our players having a safety net. I don't want our coaches having a safety net. I don't want any excuses. What we've done here with the budget we've had is incredible, incredible. And I'm very proud of that. We have done more with less than anybody. So if anybody at all thinks the narrative that football does less with more, they're absolutely mistaken. It's opposite of that. It's totally opposite of that. So I really don't feel any pressure with that at all. You know, the pressure I feel is putting a team out there that can bounce back from 3-9. And I know the work that has been invested in this thing from top to bottom. And that's if there's pressure, that's what I feel. Yeah.
Starting with Henry, we'll end with Henry.
Coach, with a new quarterback, do you guide him carefully or do you let him rip?
Let him rip. He's not new. He's not new. You know, he played last year. The reason he won the job, one of the things is because he does create plays. He does a great job of kind of avoiding the rush, but looks to throw instead of run. He's a playmaker, and we're going to cut him loose. Now, I won't even say it. Last year we cut him loose in one game, and it didn't go so well. So hopefully it goes better. But no, we're good to go. You know, we're going to let the new offense rip, and we're going to go let it go, Henry. All right, guys. Appreciate you, man.